Hello, Tide fans. Welcome to Tide Talk. I'm your host, Sean Taylor. Again with my two regulars, Jimmy Messick, Maurice Booth. How y'all guys doing today?
Hi.
Doing well.
Coming off a good win. I want to pause for just a second. You know, Jimmy and I were out in Arizona this past week and weekend playing men's softball. And, of course, Jimmy had to leave a little early. So, Tide fans, keep David Kite in your thoughts and prayers. He is Jimmy's father-in-law. He's not doing well. Jimmy had to leave early, as a matter of fact, from Arizona to come back and to check on him and make sure everything's okay. And right now, he's in hospice with no really idea of what's going to take place over the next few days. So if you guys don't mind, keep David Kite in your thoughts and prayers. I say all that to tell you that I'm all the way out in Arizona, Jimmy. I'm walking to the park, and of course I'm wearing my Alabama mask, Maurice.
Maurice. Yeah.
Well,
okay.
I hear a guy yell "Roll Tide," and of course I yell "Roll Tide" before I ever look. And I look over, and there's an umpire that's there, and he has an Alabama mask on. So I want you guys to take a look at this picture all the way across the country, basically. And folks, there's Tide fans everywhere.
Of course.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Did you get the calls?
No, as a matter of fact, he and I had a lot of words during a couple of games.
Yeah?
We exchanged one or two words. But I mentioned that because I didn't get to watch as much of the game as I'd have liked. I did see some of it. I did follow up and take a look at what we did. But with that, I'm going to lean heavily on you guys to kind of give me your thoughts.
Let's go good cop, bad cop.
Good cop, bad cop. All right.
So am I good cop?
Well, we'll start out then.
You're Mr. Ray of Sunshine.
This will be a good show because it'll give us an opportunity to kind of talk about, you guys kind of lead what you saw, what you thought for the game, and Maurice, I'll give you an opportunity to give your thoughts on the game, and then we'll just run with it from there. So Jimmy?
So I'm going first?
Yep, you're going first. Give us your take.
All right. So my take, first off, instead of starting with the offensive side of the ball, which it seems like we've done that every week this year, I'm going to start on the defensive side and say this. I don't care if Mississippi State's the worst offense in the country. I don't care that they've lost all their playmakers or not. When you throw a shutout against an SEC opponent, you hold them to around 200 yards
200
of total
yards
offense.
Was their total.
You shut them down. Actually, it was the first time Leach has ever been shut out as a head coach. You've got to give a shout out to the defense.
That's right.
So,
I agree.
So that's what I'm going to try to do here. I mean, look, we were flying all over the field. We looked like we were playing with some, attitude. Looked like we were angry out there. We didn't have near as many missed tackles as we've seen in the past. So I'm shouting out and giving a thumbs up to how the defense had played.
I'm going to comment on that real quick, and I'm going to let you finish. The first few possessions that I got to watch before we actually started playing, man, I thought the same thing, Jimmy. It looked like we were flying all over the field defensively. And now again, I only got to see the first couple of possessions. It looked like we were flying all over the field. It looked like we had a better idea of what we were doing. We looked like we were in the position we were supposed to be in. And let me just say it real quick. The first few plays of the game, Branch, the freshman, man, I was like, this guy, because I couldn't see it as well. I'm watching on my phone.
Right.
And then Malachi Moore, we were mentioning that name again, Malachi Moore. So I agree, Jimmy. It looked like we were much more comfortable with what we were doing.
And, and I think part of it, too, was, we went to a three-man front. We played most of the game, had dropped 8 back, and so everything was in front of us, and we were just attacking. And I was happy to see it finally.
Well, the first question that I'm sure all y'all are asking is, why didn't Mo go to Arizona? I wasn't invited. Plain and simple. So, and I don't play softball anymore. But, wow, I wish I could look at the world as happy and delightful as Jimmy does. Because that was, without a doubt, the worst offensive performance by another team that you will see in the SEC. I like Mike Leach, but they got 0. I'm not talking about on the scoreboard. They had nothing as far as talent.
Yeah.
That was, and there should have been a shutout. And Alabama should be a little bit embarrassed offensively, not so much defensively, but the intensity was sorely missing. I would say for maybe 2/3 of the game. It just wasn't there. They were just going through the motions after they got up. And it was uninspiring. And I was getting bored and frustrated with what I was seeing. And I was sitting there thinking, Waddle is great, and he's got this
calling me?
Is that
in my
Saban?
ear. I'm sorry.
That's Nick telling me to fire you.
I'll get back to Nick in a second. But it just wasn't there. Now, I will say this. I'll go ahead and jump to the finish. And hold on and make sure. Okay, that's good. What I saw the other night when I saw Clemson and a little bit of Ohio State, I'll go ahead and say it now, right now, Alabama's the best football team in the country.
Wow, big statement. But let me ask you this, though, Maurice. How does Mississippi State go from knocking off the defending national champions in game one?
Same way Auburn.
600 plus yards
Yeah.
of offense.
Right.
No, I'm sorry. 600 plus yards passing to what you said was the worst.
They got nothing. Their running back he quit. He can say, well, I'm getting ready for that. Nah, brother, you quit. You quit on your teammates. So that was their main thing. And I think coming into the opening weekend, they showed everything against LSU, which even the announcers were saying Leach really only has about 5 or 6 plays. He just works off of them.
Right.
And so
Runs some
it's really not too difficult for experienced coordinators.
You set yourself up for that.
Experienced coordinators to pick up on that. I'm not. I didn't say it wasn't
Here we go.
experienced. He's just not good.
That's right. There we go.
Here he goes right here.
Anyway, so no.
So
I
what you're
think,
saying is even our coordinator could. That's what you were trying to say.
Right.
yes, and Golding did a little bit more organized the other night, but again, it's Mississippi State.
Right.
It's not Clemson.
To your point, and I guess my point too is, we did what we were supposed to do against that team. I mean, we shut them down. I mean, I don't know how many times they freaking pointed out. I lost count.
8.
So
8 in the first half,
as bad as they were.
Mistaken.
And we punted more than we have.
Yeah, I mean, as bad as they are on offense, we did what we were supposed to do on the defensive side of the ball. Now, offensively, you're right. I'm the same way you were. I was sitting there going, man, what is going on? Of course, they were, flashing up stats for Mississippi State's defense. I did not realize they were the number 1 unit in the league. I thought, because we thought, I guess Georgia was. But so, give some credit to Mississippi State's defense. But I'm like you. I'm like, okay, where's that offense we've been seeing all year? Mac Jones looked. I mean, yeah, he still had great numbers. He just looked. I don't know. For some reason, he just looked off for some reason. Like you said, I don't know if it was
average.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course, Najee had great numbers as well. I thought we could have ran the ball as often as we wanted to run the ball. Not sure why we didn't continue to do that, other than just trying to get some balance out there. But you're right. For whatever reason, the offense was just for some reason.
Here's my take.
What's your take?
We're spoiled Alabama fans. That's what we sound like.
We've said that once or twice.
We've said,
on the shows.
Look, here's what I like about the 41-0 win against Mississippi State. With all things that you guys have said and the little bit that I've read and what I saw, at least we did what we were supposed to do to a lesser opponent.
Yes, but what was all of our predictions last week? It started with a 5.
Yeah, 50 plus.
And after we got to 27, we just kind of up until
subpar performance.
I would say all the way through the third quarter, it just blah. It wasn't. I didn't see a lot of effort outside of Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, 4 touchdowns. I think it broke an SEC record.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of that, yeah.
All right. Hold on to that. We'll come back in just a minute. We're going to take a short break on behalf of Bob English and State Farm. Hold your seats, Tide fans. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
Hey, Bob.
Bobby.
Enjoy the good times a little more with the right plan. As your State Farm agent, I am here to help you protect your dreams and loved ones with life insurance. With over 60 years combined State Farm experience, call me or any of my team to find out which options are best for you. Another way, we're here to help life go right.
All right, welcome back, Tide fans. So we were discussing right there before the break. Again, we're a little bit spoiled. Just in the break, we're talking about Slade Bolden and Waddle, and it's really tough to compare. It's not fair to Slade Bolden to compare him to Waddle, because Waddle, you really can't compare anybody to Waddle. He's just that dynamic of a player. As we discussed, Bolden's a very talented guy, and he's going to do a really good job. But I like the point that you made, Jimmy, and that is, you asked, did we have any more speedy guys out there? Yeah, we probably do. But does Saban really trust them to do, not just catch the football but to block and to know where they're going and to be in the right position and that sort of thing? And I think that has a lot to do with it, because we've got some talented guys over there on the sideline.
Right. And, if you watch the game, I don't know if I think we stayed with the same three receivers the entire game that I remember. I don't remember another wide receiver getting in the game.
Well, I do know that late in the game.
Until late,
when Young came in, I think his first series, he had Smitty and those guys in there. But then after that, he had some younger guys, and it's going to happen. We're going to have to develop them without a doubt. I mean, look, man, at the end of the day, it's about trust. We talked about that before. Trusting who's out there, trusting that they can handle the football, not turn it over. You know how big he is about turning the ball over. So, Maurice, I think there's some guys out there. And then, like I mentioned, Xavion Marks was a guy that, just a couple years ago or a year or so ago, at least had a little bit of opportunity on punt return. But I hadn't seen him on the field. Mm-hmm. So that must tell me that means that Slade Bolden's pretty stinking talented, because he's jumped him.
Well, yeah, I was expecting to see some rotation at wide receiver. And you're talking about getting spoiled. We kind of did last year with our starting three, and then you had Waddle coming, because everybody forgets Waddle wasn't a starter.
Right, that's exactly right. And how did you name him the number 4?
Exactly. So there I question Saban. And secondly, does my hair look okay?
Yeah, it looks really good.
Thank you.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, I wash it every now and then. So, but I think Miller Forrestal, I think he's playing a bigger role. I think you're going to see that. I would, if I'm not by any means, Sarkisian's going to have a head coaching job next year. He's that good. We're that good offensively for 2 or 3 years.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
But I would really love to see, talking about Slade Bolden, if you put him on the weak side and put him in that slot as the extra tight end that's off the line of scrimmage, the things that you could do with that, I think it would be really interesting, because he does. Now, like I said, he's not Waddle, and I know I'm going through some withdrawals. I'm seeing an analyst about it.
Right.
Okay, and I'm really staying in the bars too long. But that's another story. I'll get over it. But I would like to see Bolt, because he is, like you said, he's an athlete, and he looks like one. And if you're back there returning kicks,
that's right.
Punts, I mean, Saban's got a lot of faith in you.
Exactly.
So I like the kid. It looks like he gives you everything he's got when he's out there.
But did you see what we did, though? If you paid attention to the first few series, which that was really the only thing I got to see a lot of, we used the Tucker kid, the grad transfer from North Carolina, the tight end. He's back. Right. And we used him a lot. We had a little double tight end set. Him and Forrestal were on the same side. We were doing that a little bit. Listen, you got talented guys. Forrestal is a talented tight end, but so is Tucker. They say Tucker is an absolute physical specimen and very athletic. So make sure you pay attention to that over the next few weeks, now that Tucker's back and Waddle's out, with Bolden and that combination of
you're
receivers.
Right. We did have 2 tight ends out there most of the time.
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed too is, we used.
But it don't look like the normal double tight end.
No, you're right. But another thing I noticed too was, looked like Mechie was that guy that we were trying to get over the top to replace Waddle, and didn't look the same.
I agree with that.
It did not look the same, and we were we were almost trying to force that early on, going over the top with him.
And the reason Mac struggled a little bit early on.
November 2nd, 5:50. I agreed with Jimmy. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to record that.
Now, what was I saying? I don't even know what I was saying. No.
Met you over the top.
So met you over the top. Yeah. So I noticed that again. It looked like Mike was trying to force that for whatever reason. When we went away from that, went to our number one now. I mean, the offense seemed to flow better.
And Mac did say that Mississippi State did a good job doing some things that they had not seen on film prior. They've confused them a little bit, but he did adjust. I mean, I think his numbers, was still really good. 24
Hey,
for
speaking
31.
of numbers, I got some right here.
24 for 31 for 296 yards and 4 touchdowns. No, it's not 300 plus what we've been seeing, but that's still really good numbers.
So this is the segment of the show where Stats with Jimmy.
Jimmy.
That's right. Yeah. Stats with Jimmy Messick.
So I'll just tell you this. You were right about Mac real quick on a personal note or individual note, I should say. 291, 24, 31.
That's pretty accurate.
So it's not bad. So, of course, again, unlike every other show this year, I'm going to start on the defensive side. Again, when you shut somebody down like we did, again, regardless of how bad they are, your numbers are going to reflect that. So right now, after week 6, our scoring defense moved up from 41st in the country to 23rd in the country, only giving up 22 points a game. Went from 5th in the league to 3rd in the league. Rushing defense went from 47th to 35th overall in the country, only giving up 128. Prior to that, we were giving up 147. Went from 7th to 4th in the league. Passing defense, we went from 80th to 72nd. We were giving up 279. It dropped to 260 after this past week, 11th in the league overall. I mean, from last week to 8th this week, after this week. Total, 389 a game. Went from 64th nationally to 45th nationally, and from 10th in the league to 5th in the league overall.
Okay.
I hate to bust your mathematical bubble, but there are more teams playing now, so you have more what's the scientific term? Crappy teams playing from the Big Ten now that are going to improve our stats. Now, we do, like I said, I thought we looked better the other night than as far as in some places. Defensively, they seem to bring it a little bit more. I like that.
The front 7 did a really good job.
2 that stood out to me, Anderson and Allen.
Yes.
I thought played
well, another one that stood out too on that side of the ball, a name to remember, Tide fans, Mr. Timothy Smith, freshman.
Yeah.
Played a lot in the second half. He was the guy that made the tackle and strip fumble. Man, I've read a ton of stuff on him since Saturday. And I think he's going to be a name that we need to make sure we remember.
Do you think that the defense, and look, at the end of the day, that these guys hear what's being said. Do you think that they're playing with that chip on their shoulder like we talked about before? Do you think that that's...
I still think they should have a chip from the Ole Miss game.
Right.
Because that stings, because no matter how good you do, somebody's always going to mention it.
Right, that's right.
And it bothers you whenever another team shuts them down.
And then the other thing I want to throw out there, and you guys can comment on it. Do you think that now that we've played some more games, because I'm going to tell you, we made way more tackles than we have not missed as many tackles as we've been missing. I'm not saying we didn't miss any, because I believe Dylan Moses missed a tackle on the quarterback.
Yeah, he missed. They're still there.
But we've missed way less than what we've been missing. And so we're tackling better. We're starting to have a little bit more confidence in what we're supposed to be doing. We look less confused than when we first started.
Go back to all the way back to the second half of the Georgia game.
The turning point, maybe.
From there through Tennessee to this week, and see what we've done defensively. Again, you can argue that it's some of the worst offenses in the league versus what we played the first few weeks.
Still SEC football.
It's still SEC football. All these other teams that's statistically been better than we have, or better than we are, has been playing these same teams. So now that we're getting into the part of the schedule where, again, maybe the offense aren't as good, our numbers are starting to improve. And, we are looking better on the defensive side of the ball.
I just see a shift. I see us playing with more confidence. I see Anderson. I mean, that joker is going to end up being a beast when it's all said and done.
I think so.
I mean, listen, he's wreaking havoc, and I read some stats on him with his quarterback pressures and hurries, and I mean, the joker is just a freshman, and he is wreaking havoc on offenses.
Man, who'd have thought when we started the season, we were excited about all these returning players from last year's team. Hey man, they're young, but they got that experience, and now we're still talking about freshmen leading the team. Malachi was voted the SEC Freshman of the Year again this week, second time. We talked about Branch being a freshman, Anderson.
They led the team in tackles.
Yeah, Smith.
Malachi Moore,
freshman that had an impact this past week. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy we're sitting here talking about the freshmen again making an impact on this defense.
Yeah,
it is crazy.
That's a good opportunity for us to take a quick break. On behalf of Bob English and State Farm, we'll be right back with Tide Talk.
Who? Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Oh yeah, Bob.
What's up, Bob?
Hey, buddy.
In life, some things just go together, like a burger and fries, and home and auto insurance from State Farm. So make it a combo. Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Just call me, Bob English, or any of my experienced hometown team and find out how you could start saving today. It's just another way.
All right, welcome back, Tide fans. As much as we've been talking about the defense, and I think they needed to hear it.
Hang on, do we need to wait for him?
Sorry, I was just checking on my balance. Go ahead.
Which reminds me, Maurice.
Yes.
What's the deal with the
Color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Add a little color?
Yeah, it's also a little nice, right?
Oh,
So there-
nice.
yeah.
I like
It doubles.
That. I like that.
It doubles,
as a,
Yeah. If
what's
I
that
say-
called? A handkerchief? A hanky?
A pocket
A
stuffer
pocket.
or
A hanky
something. I don't know what it's
and
called.
mask.
Exactly.
So as much as we need to boast about the defense, still got to give credit to the offense. Devontae Smith had a record-setting night in the SEC. Najee Harris really looks good, and Trey Sanders. We got a chance to see what he's capable of. Now Brian Robinson Jr.
My bad.
was a little bit banged
They said
up,
he
which
was
is the
banged up,
reason
yeah.
that he didn't get to play. And I think that's good that we can put a guy in and he rushes for 80 yards, I believe, on 12 carries or something like that.
Well, I hate to bust Trey Sanders' bubble because I like the kid. He came to Alabama, but I think he's finding it a little bit tougher than what he anticipated in high school with the claim of I'll be at the
The
Heisman.
Heisman Trophy as a freshman, right?
Because those yards that he's getting are some hard yards, and he's having to fight for them. And
I
it
like
makes you
that.
appreciate everything that Najee does.
Yeah.
Because
Hey, speaking of Najee, 21 carries for 119. He has 714 total rushing yards this year, 14 touchdowns.
Leads the nation.
That leads the nation. Ranked 6th in rushing yards and 7th in carries per game, but he leads the SEC in all those categories. Devontae Smith, you mentioned him, 203 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. He's got 750 yards total, 8 touchdowns, 56 catches. Nationally ranks 3rd in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, 4th in receptions per game, 7th in receiving yards. Even Mechie actually has got some numbers too as well. He's 5th in yards, 7th in yards per game at 86 yards a game. So, just a couple of shout outs to those two guys.
Yes. And thanks again for the segment of the show that's Stats with Jimmy Messick.
Yeah.
I was told there would be no math.
Hey, so here's, I got a question for you though, Maurice.
Well, it's jail. Get it from my
How
cousin.
do you feel about
What?
Mac Jones has got to prove to you that he is?
Honestly? Okay. You ask me, I'll tell you.
I want to know.
Okay. I texted y'all the Saturday, or was it Friday night, where Trevor's out, and then it was confirmed after the game that he's not going to be able to play against Notre Dame. I'm just going from a Heisman voting type of picture. It pretty much eliminates him because this is their biggest game. They got Notre Dame. With Mac, it really helps. And I thought the other night, I said, I think Mac's got to be front runner now. Now, Justin Fields being Ohio State, Midwest voters going to get the East voters as well. There is, in my opinion, there is a little bit of discrimination as far as Southern players versus
Yes,
Midwestern players, so forth. But I think it puts, with the numbers that Mac has, it's going to be hard to catch because he's He's right there with Burrow was last year. Joe Burrow's.
And look at the difference in the competition.
Exactly. Now, I'll give you that. The thing that concerns me about Mac is in big games or better defensive lines. He we all said it a few weeks ago. He looked a little hesitant against Georgia because that was the best defensive line that was fastest, without a doubt. So what will he do in other games where there is a serious defensive line?
But that's the thing. Is he going to see another defense?
Probably see Georgia again.
I mean,
I'll tell you this. After watching a little bit of the Clemson-Boston College game, I'm encouraged.
Yeah, same. Exact same.
I mean, if Boston College is putting up 28, and listen, I'm not even mentioning no Trevor Lawrence. I'm not talking about the offense. I'm talking about what Boston College did against their defense. Put up 21 points. Now,
second week in a row that Clemson is.
So I'm encouraged. You know, and here's what I think. To your point, I think Mac Jones is going to get better because we watched him be a little hesitant against Georgia, and then turn it on.
Right.
It's almost like he was challenged, and he had not been challenged yet, and he had to make an adjustment, and he did. And look, I can't say enough about the guy and what he does as it relates to. He's not extremely mobile as far as running the football, right, but he is very, very good with moving in the pocket.
I call that scramble.
And keeping his eyes downfield and making the right throws.
And that's why I texted y'all the other night. To me, that was his best play, and I can't even tell you how it ended. What I was referring to is I like a quarterback that can scramble and buy some time. And what he did was beautiful.
That's right.
He stepped up, stepped around, and then rolled out and threw it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching him. Now, there is some conversation. Is he the front runner, and who knows?
Well, I think I sent a text out today talking about some of the sporting books in Vegas has now put him at the top of the list of front runner for the Heisman. I mean, numbers are going to be there for the year. I think there's no doubt about that. But I think I did mention about the style points, with Justin Fields. I mean, there's just this love for him being mobile because he's going to get those yards with his legs.
It's more about Big Ten.
And it could be that too.
They will love on you if you're Michigan, Ohio State. Man, if you're a team in the Northeast, they're going to really love you. But all you got to do is be right there. And then, you go back and you look at Peyton Manning, he got shunned. Deshaun Watson at Clemson, he got shunned, which those were the best players. And they were in the South. So those, I don't care what you say. I'm not a Heisman voter.
Justin Fields is a very good.
I just say I think he's a great
player.
And I'm sure Kirby Smart is kicking himself right now.
Yeah. Hey, but here's the thing for me, and it's not gonna matter. But I'm gonna throw this out there. And what would Mac Jones' numbers be in the ACC?
Oh, man.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
what would it be? What would they be if Alabama was playing in the Big Ten?
Well, I mean, Mac is good, but it dang sure helps to have a Devontae Smith.
Of course it does.
I mean, what would it be if Waddle hadn't got hurt?
Right, of course it does.
I mean, because we have seen
there's no question about that. I
backwards.
had the conversation this weekend. I was talking to
the umpire?
Not the umpire. We had some words, by the way. I was talking to one of the guys on the team. I think it was Mike Wood, by the way, Jim. We were talking.
Oh, Mike?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I mean, man, to have Mac Jones' numbers where they are against all SEC. He's only playing SEC. They compared him to Burrows at the 5-game mark, but Burrows had, 2 Mickey Mouse teams, that he played last year.
He did.
Yeah.
Even the one team that he did play to open the season was Miami, and their defense was not very good.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm excited for Mac. I hope that he continues to do well because I think he deserves it. The Joker is living in the shadows of Tua Tagovailoa, and he's coming out saying, "Who is that?" I mean, I'm gonna be me, and he's
one
done
thing
a really
to look
good
for
job.
and to watch for concerning the Heisman is again,
We're really getting ahead of ourselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yes, right.
is that's what happens when you have a bye week coming up, right?
That's true.
So is the fact that the more games Ohio State plays, let's keep watching Justin Fields and
Let me
see
just throw
how
this
much
out
love
there.
he's going to start
Let me
getting
just throw-
after game 3,
That's
after
right.
game 4, after game 5.
Since you open Pandora's box, and I wouldn't go there. But if, God forbid, Ohio State has a breakout of 5 or 6 cases, then they have to shut it down. And it's still somewhat of a business. That hurts his Heisman chances because Wisconsin and Nebraska had to shut it down last week, which was the presidents of 2 of the universities in the Big Ten think that they know more than everybody else, so they shut it down, and it basically messed up Wisconsin's chances are done as far as competing nationally.
Mm-hmm.
So if that happens to Ohio State, same thing, along with Justin Fields. So just something to keep an eye on. Now of course, you don't want anything like that to happen.
No.
But I'm just telling you,
Yeah, that's right.
that's how the Big Ten
And
presidents.
of course, that could
Right.
happen. That could happen.
Yeah, I mean,
to anybody.
yeah.
It could happen to Alabama and Mac Jones. But
happened to Nick Saban.
so
See what happened? See what he did to it? Yeah, you don't
right.
want to mess with Nick.
So yes, we are on a bye week. That's obviously a great time. 6 games in, 6 wins, all SEC. Probably need some rest. Probably have some guys that are nicked up, banged up. Brian Ray hadn't played.
Right.
Brian Robinson was held out a little bit because he wasn't able to play. And there's some others
And
that
Forstall is still kind of favoring that
yeah.
shoulder.
So I mean,
And
we've
he's-
got some guys that need some rest and to get well because the next game's LSU. We play at LSU, which is always, a challenging place to play. Won't be as much this year because they won't have the fan base.
or the team.
Yeah.
Alcohol sales are down in
Yeah.
Baton Rouge.
No doubt about it.
I've been there.
But it is the break is the bye week is coming at a good time for us to kind of refocus, get ourselves ready for the second part of the season, the next 4 games. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how our defense continues to progress, how Mac Jones continues to play, and will he stay at that level?
And if we're going to have another receiver finally
Yeah.
get some playing time.
So we will come back again next week. We will have another episode
We
next
don't
week.
get a week off?
We do not get a week off. There is no rest for the weary.
There's
we'll
no
come back
INT.
next week, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the LSU game and what that means as far as the next part of the season, because there's a few games coming up that'll be really important. Of course, Auburn, beating up on LSU a little bit. So next week, same time, same bat channel 207. Check us out on our YouTube channel, and we will see you next week. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.